The one most common denominator of recruits for ISIS are boys and girls with minimal or no father involvement. And my goodness, it's just so apparent the psychological savings and the fiscal savings we would create if we had this focus more on how do we get fathers more involved.
Dr. Farrell, thanks for sitting down with us. You have proposed what is both a radical and controversial theory, but also just like complete common sense to me when it comes to figuring out why so many of our young men are involved in mass shootings. Tell me what your theory is.
Well, what I've looked at is the people who are involved in mass shootings, particularly the more complex ones, like when 8 or more people are killed. 26 out of the last 28 mass shootings where 8 or more people were killed, the boy who did the killing had minimal or no father involvement, almost always from a broken family. So both the school shooters and the mass shooters, they have this common denominator of minimal amount of father involvement. And then I looked at the ISIS recruits, studies of ISIS recruits. The initial studies didn't even ask the question about father involvement, but it was brought up by the boys so frequently that the sociologists went back and asked the question more systematically and found that not only were the boys who were being recruited for ISIS had a lack of father involvement, but also the girls who were recruited in much smaller numbers for ISIS had a lack of father involvement, and that the one most common denominator of recruits for ISIS are boys and girls with minimal or no father involvement. And my goodness, it's just so apparent the psychological savings and the fiscal savings we would create if we had this focus more on how do we get fathers more involved and what do they contribute that we don't know about. And so those are so important.
So this apparently is controversial in some corners, and every time there's a tragedy, another tragedy, and another shooting, everybody sort of falls back into their political corners, and some people blame the NRA, and the NRA blames Ritalin, and some people blame violent video games and violent TV programs. But so few people are talking about this phenomenon, that it's about fathers. And there's a responsibility here that civil society has to wrestle with solutions.
Yes, and our sons and our daughters, they have the exact same family values. They have the exact same families. They're exposed to the exact same violence on TV, the violence in the media. They have the same access to the same guns, and yet our daughters are not doing the killings. Our sons are. And so what we need to understand is that when a family is broken up, our daughters suffer, but our sons suffer more. They suffer on a cellular level, they suffer on a psychological level, they suffer on a depression level, they suffer on a propensity towards suicide level, they suffer on a level of dropping out of school. And when a boy drops out of high school, that means a 20% chance of being unemployed in his 20s. When a boy has a 20% chance of being unemployed in his 20s, that means he has a very good chance of having his testosterone channeled destructively rather than constructively. And destructively channeled testosterone is one of the world's most dangerous forces. Well-channeled testosterone is one of the world's most constructive forces.
Last night during your lecture, you talked about the tragic slide by which a young man who didn't get that attention, didn't feel respected or listened to, could lead to shooting up a school?
Yes, it goes like this. When dads are involved, they tend to be much more likely to set boundaries and enforce boundaries, mostly enforce boundaries. And they're able to do that in part because they bond with the children. They bond with the children by doing things like roughhousing. So the children want more of dad and excitement with dad. So as a result of that excitement that they want more of, the dad can say, you can't get to bed, you can't have any more roughhousing until you get all your chores done, all your homework done, etc. And so the children learn to focus on getting their chores done and getting their homework done. So they don't get ADHD nearly as often because they learn to focus on doing what they need to do in order to get what they want to do, more of that roughhousing. When they do that, they get postponed gratification. Postponed gratification is the single most important ingredient to be successful and to be happy with your achievement. So these boys that don't have postponed gratification, and the girls too, are less likely to be able to do their homework and get it completed. And then the boys start feeling ashamed of themselves because they get bad feedback from teachers, bad feedback from girls and boys. When it comes to boy-girl time, girls are not interested in dating losers, so they don't have that type of emotional, physical connection. They get bad feedback from their parents. They're not so proud of them. They begin to withdraw, become depressed, become addicted to video games or become addicted to porn. They then try out real women, and the real women don't like a boy that's addicted to porn, and so they withdraw from them, which only convinces them to become more addicted to porn. And in worst case scenarios, they become suicidal, or in other worst case scenarios, they become both suicidal and homicidal. And the homicidal being, I'm so angry that nobody at school recognizes me, values me. I'm so invisible. I will make myself visible. I'll show them. And then the anger is returned through the shootings.
So quickly, and this would be a subject, if you really want the answer to this question, people are going to have to pick up your book, The Boy Crisis. But what are some of the solutions? How do we fix this problem? We've identified it. It is fundamental. How do we fix it?
We have to know what fathers contribute that is different from what moms contribute, what I call dad-style parenting that has to be added to mom-style parenting. We have to teach both moms and dads how to communicate about the value of their style parenting in order to be able to adjust it to any situation that the children are going through. We have to be able to get dads to study what they do that is good so that they can explain it to moms. We can't blame moms. Moms can't hear what dads don't say. Moms are doing their hard work in the way that they know how to do it. Men have to take the lead, speak up, and have the courage to speak up. Men can't back off with knowing that a happy life is a happy wife. You have to be willing to have an unhappy life for a while because your devotion is to your children's needs, not to your personal happiness.